Hello, everybody. We are live. This is going to be a open mic live, and what that means is I put a link where you can join, not only in the description of this video, but on my Instagram. I sent it to a few people, and the goal is we're going to, of course, have a cool conversation regardless. However, I'd like to give people an opportunity to hop on the live. I will ask for anyone that wants to hop on the live. I just ask for no profanity, or profanity is okay. Let's not just make every other word the F word or something. Obviously, no nudity, no drug use, nothing like that. Let's go ahead and keep all that behind closed screens, I guess you would say. This light is super harsh on my face, yo. So, but yeah, so that's basically the concept. I'll talk about kind of what's been going on with me, the idea I have for the next video that I'm going to do. I did want to get something up on Sunday. However, it was kind of a draining weekend to a degree, not in like a negative way or anything. It's just I was very tired. I had a real long week last week. This week is projecting to be long as well. So I just wasn't able to make that happen for you guys. I apologize. What's up, Noah? What's up, best friend? What's up, everybody that's in here right now? So, like I was mentioning a little bit ago, for those of you that are just now joining, this is going to be. I invited a few people that, if they're able to, they'll join the live. However, anybody, it's free game. If you'd like to be on the live, do it. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead and hop on that link. There's no pressure, nothing like that. However, if you're shy or if it's just not something that you're into, I do not hold it against you. But just to kind of give you guys an update on how everything has been, I did upload that lizard video, or the lizard people royal bloodline video. I hope everybody that saw that really enjoyed it. It was the first video I've done in a real long time where there was a lot of editing involved. I try to overlay images, and of course I'm not like a professional or anything like that. However, I am excited about doing more videos like that. It was a little bit of a challenge the first time, just because I'm working with new equipment. I'm trying this app, and I also just wanted to make sure that the video was extremely, quality as far as the content. So the next video, however, it'll probably be up this weekend. I don't see why it wouldn't be up by this weekend. And it's a conspiracy video. However, what I really like to talk about is I wouldn't say conspiracies I'm making up, but maybe conspiracies that aren't necessarily like the huge hitters, because they're all huge hitters if you boil them down. But this one that I'm going to be talking about this weekend is just something over the past maybe like 2 months. I've started to have things told to me. One of them was that Redfin and Zillow were buying up massive amounts of properties. I also heard in podcasts people talking about other companies. I think it's like Oakstone or something of that nature, buying up massive amounts of properties. And I kind of felt like it's weird that they're buying up all these properties, they're manipulating the market, they're creating pretty much an environment where only the richest of the rich, can really like buy a nice house. And they're also getting people comfortable with the idea of paying more for living in something smaller, especially with inflation the way that it is. So my whole vibe that I got initially when I heard that is it sounds like the government doesn't want us to own land. And what is the benefit of people owning their own land? It would be that you have the ability to grow your own food, you have the ability to have privacy, um, a few other things. But that's kind of the topic of the video. And I do have a couple other things, and I've steadily been researching it, because I want to connect dots, and I want to try to bring in other things that are going on in the world that might correlate to that, and it just brings some depth to the theory. And that's really what I'm trying to do with the channel, just bring depth to everything that we're doing. So Tara, so such an awesome concept. All so excited. Tara, I'm excited too. I'm hoping that there is some guest, like I said, no matter what, it'll be fun. We'll do it for like an hour or so. However, it would be cool if somebody decided to hop on the live, and everybody's welcome. Everybody's welcome. So thank you, Brittany. You said you saw the video, you dug it. I appreciate that. Trags, I appreciate it. Yeah, go ahead, check out the video after this. I think it's really good. It's I'm trying to keep those types of videos between 5 and 10 minutes. It's really hard to keep a video underneath or between 5 and 10 minutes, because I like to intro the topic. I like to give a little bit of backstory, a little bit of context. I like to build on it. So to get everything done in 5 minutes would feel a little bit rushed to me, but I'm trying to keep these videos around 10 minutes. The last one was like 10 minutes and 20 seconds or something like that. But and then really the lives are designed to be more of the long format conversation pieces, and we can go more in depth. I know last week I had my really good friend Eddie Booz on the live, and I believe we talked a pretty good amount about conspiracies, but it was more or less a free flow conversation. Eddie is a fucking amazing musician, so talking with an amazing musician about music is kind of inevitable. So I do hope you guys enjoyed that. So oh yeah, so winter spring fail, unrelated, but saw you on your brother's story. Excited for the test episode of Shane's podcast. Yeah, so I'm super excited about that as well. I had texted him late last week, because I had a couple ideas that had kind of been flowing through my head, and he's my brother, obviously, so I like to keep in touch with him. And I I just kind of let him know, maybe it's time to do a podcast. And I had a couple ideas. I threw it his way, and then I guess because he posted the stories, I'm not really like cracking any eggs that aren't supposed to be cracked yet. But it's gonna be him, of course, and then me, myself, Ryland, his fiance, and then Chris, who actually I've only met once before this, and that's when we filmed the simulation video, or Shane's simulation video that I was in. Chris filmed that, but it's super fun. The first episode we test filmed last night. It was I'm really into kind of free format, just kind of having fun, going with the flow. It was a lot of that. However, there was definitely some blueprint to it, some topics that we went over. For any of you that follow the podcast channel, I believe he asked like an open-ended question, and we went over a bunch of the messages that he got, and it was real fun to do that. So hopefully, that'll be up in the next couple of weeks. I'm hoping, I think it would definitely be cool. It was very fun. I actually already got a clip, maybe like 30 seconds. He sent over a clip to me, and it's hilarious. It's definitely a fun dynamic, a lot of fun personalities. And I mean, I love goofing off and shooting the shit with my brother. So anytime we can do that and film it, it's always rad. Love the episode with Eddie. It was fun. Eddie is a rad dude. I really appreciated him being on. But yeah. So am I gonna do more conspiracy videos? With Shane, I don't know. That's really up to him. I mean, obviously the nature of this channel is real conspiratory, and I think for any of you guys that are watching this, you probably correlate me with conspiracies. Is definitely something that I'm into. However, I don't know if we're going to do another video like that together, but I also, on that note, the reason I brought all that up is I do want to introduce other kinds of topics onto the channel, because there's more ways to travel in your mind than to think of the craziest shit, like life itself is fucking crazy, like the fact that we're all human beings, that we were born, that, I mean, I'm looking at this little fucking rectangular piece of plastic that somehow is capturing me, and, life is fucking crazy. And on that note, to kind of talk about a topic that let's see here, let me see, what is my take on, okay, so if you guys actually have some stuff, let's talk about that, and then I'm not going to forget about the topic, and if I do, it wasn't that important. So my take on dreams, I think that we have a subconscious, and I think we have a consciousness, and I think our subconscious is what's ultra aware that we tap into from time to time. I think that's why things like subliminal messages, for instance, they're things that are designed to go beyond our consciousness and kind of hit us in our core. In regards to dreams, I feel like once you go to sleep, your conscious is kind of turned off to a degree. I think your brain is able to relax, or at least those portions of your brain. And I think that when you're dreaming, that's more or less your subconscious, and you're experiencing that. And that's kind of my take on them. And I think that there's a lot of cool things that you could learn from dreams. I think if you analyze almost anything, you could find some meaning in it. And if it's something that came from your subconscious, I definitely think it's worth analyzing. When I was younger, I used to look a lot into a website called the Dream Dictionary, where you can basically look up any word, like water bottle. and if you had a water bottle in your dream, it will kind of tell you what the water bottle could signify, what it could mean. And I always thought that was pretty cool. Like I remember being young and there was a turtle in my dream. So I looked up what a turtle could mean, and it was very on point. And whether or not it was on point or I just took it like that because I was looking for an answer, regardless, the reality of it is I feel like it hit home. So that's kind of what I dig about dreams, and they're kind of open to interpretation. It's fun to interpret them. Sorry about that. That felt rude. So I'm very excited as well about the podcast. So on to actual topics. So yesterday in the news, and this is sort of conspiratory because I've had feelings for a long time about this individual. And yesterday it was announced that Elon Musk bought Twitter for like $44 billion. Do any of you guys by chance have any opinion on that? I'd be very, very curious to know. But what it really made me think about is we're talking about the richest person that's ever lived on the planet, or at least on paper, the richest person. I'm sure there's been kings of countries, and maybe, Putin has 50, 100 million billion dollars. I'm not sure. But no one's ever had this kind of money and really made the kind of moves that Elon Musk is making. And I don't know how he made his money. I don't know the legitimacy of his position in all the companies and all that kind of stuff. So I'm sure that what I'm saying might be open to some kind of scrutiny if you know more than me. But I look at it like, what are the sectors that he's really involved in? And the sectors that he's really involved in are currency, or PayPal. At least I know that he was someone that was early into PayPal. He is a part of Solar City or Solar something, but it's a whole solar company. So the people that put solar panels on roofs, that put the batteries on your house, the people that call you if you get like telemarketing calls, that's usually like a solar company. And then he did Tesla, where I believe, I don't know exactly, his if he created Tesla, or whatever the case may be, but Tesla. And then his other thing is SpaceX. So when I look at all of those, I kind of think like, what is the common thread within all of these, and how dangerous could it possibly be for someone to run all of these sectors? When you look at currency, obviously that's a huge one. So he revolutionized the way that we're able to distribute and transfer our currencies and make transactions, and it felt like a way to kind of escape banking to a degree. Although PayPal is really, anytime you're transferring money or something like that on PayPal now, it's all getting monitored. So, but it really felt like it was an escape from the standard central banking system to a degree. Obviously, we're using the money generated through the central banks, but it was a new platform for us to distribute it on. Then you have solar power, which combats the current state of how we're harvesting energy, which would be coal, oil, fossil fuels, things of that nature. So that goes against the grain of a huge, impactful variable, in the country, our power and our energy. Tesla, obviously, the way that we communicate, gas, oil, it's big business, and it goes a lot deeper than just gas stations on the corners. But he really revolutionized the way that people are communicating with cars. And then you look at SpaceX, which would be space travel, revolutionizing the way that we're doing space travel, that we view it, that we're looking at the possibilities, and all of those together. It almost feels like the dude is changing the world and has a lot of power over it. And we're at a point now where everybody seems to really like the guy. I can't find many people that want to talk shit on Elon Musk and have a lot of negative to say. And he has so much power in so many sectors. And now it looks like he just bought Google, or Twitter. I'm sorry, Twitter, with the agenda, or the narrative being that he wants to open up free speech even more for people because he feels like Twitter isn't doing that right now. So he's making a lot of promises in a lot of ways, and he has a lot of money. He's promising people a solution to how they spend money and how they, disperse it amongst each other, energy, space travel, and now social media. So it sounds really cool that this dude Elon Musk, just bought a social media site, and he's going to let everybody have free speech and with no recourse necessarily. I'm sure there'll still be guidelines, like death threats are illegal no matter what. I'm sure he's not just going to let people make death threats and show crazy, weird, illegal content. But I have very mixed feelings about it because there's a big part of me that wants to think, this is a good dude with all this money, and finally, we've had rich people before, but they always seem to have agendas that don't really immediately seem to benefit us. And the fact that Elon Musk is kind of showing signs of that is very exciting. However, I always want to be skeptical. And we were told that somebody would come at some point, or we were told, meaning that biblically speaking, and I'm sure in all kinds of other religions and all kinds of other cultures, they have an idea that somebody at one point is going to come as the Messiah, and they're going to masquerade themselves as that, and then they're going to end up being like the Antichrist or the anti whatever. So I kind of look at Elon Musk like he could be that. He could be just a fucking extremely rich guy that wants to do all these cool things. But I mean, at the end of the day, he's going to buy Twitter. It's going to be worth like 10 times more. So he's not going to ever lose money on these things. It's not like and it's not all of his money that is being used to buy Twitter, but he's going to make a shitload of money, just like Spotify gives Joe Rogan $100 million to do his podcast. The next day they go up $2 billion in evaluation. So Spotify literally made $1.9 billion signing Joe Rogan, and everyone just wants to talk about how much money Joe Rogan made. But it's like, yeah, but I mean, when these huge players make these moves, it's seldomly to not strengthen their bankroll. It's usually to strengthen their bankroll, right? Bankroll. But it's terrifying that one person can have so much power. I do agree with that, Trags. I do agree with that. And I feel like everybody's very accepting of it, and everyone's very excited for it. And there's not everybody that's super excited for it. I did see an interview today. I didn't watch the whole thing, so I couldn't really give you all the details, but it was with Kevin O'Leary of Shark Tank and another individual. And it really seemed like maybe one of the two had a viewpoint that this is not a positive move with him buying Twitter. So I'll have to watch that video later. Earlier, I think Sandy had come home around the same time, or I had seen her or something like that. So I just turned it off. So not to blame anybody, but that's what happened. So that's my thoughts on the whole Elon Musk thing, though. I'm very curious to see where it goes. I can see it going both ways. I could see us being stoked on this dude for a really long time, or I can see him acquiring an excessive amount of power and kind of having us by the neck, if that makes sense. But we will see. We have time. We have time. It makes me uneasy that he has so much power. Tara, I guess power is always perceived, but it does seem like he's strengthening up pretty big. The Tesla rock robot is sus. He also wants to put chips in your brain to like link it to technology. I'm sure there's other things about Elon Musk that if we really want to look into, we could find. However, you know, it's all speculation. But I mean, the dude is into some advanced, crazy technological stuff. For sure. You're not really using Twitter as much. I never use Twitter. I don't even know the last time I logged on to Twitter necessarily, but and even Instagram, I only really have the one page, Let's Mind Travel, that I ever use. I have like four other pages, and I just don't do anything with them. But let's see here. Where else? So let's go over some topics that you guys are talking about. He didn't. So let me go back down. It looks like the comments started coming in a little bit ago regarding Musk. Elon didn't create Tesla. He bought it and booted everyone out and took it as he did it all. So I guess what you're saying, JP3, is that Elon Musk just kind of comes in and acquires companies, and he takes all the fucking the opposite of blame. He takes all the whatever the damn, I can't think of the word. Whatever the word is. He comes in, he fucking masquerades himself as the creator, I guess. So you don't like Elon. What else? So in regards to the pyramids, if you want to look into the pyramids, Orion's belt, decoding the simulation, and just so you know, in regards to like the Orion and how they line up with the pyramids, and maybe Orion is the coder of the simulation. That's all stuff that I don't want to say I made it up, But when Shane asked me to do that video, I just didn't want to regurgitate a bunch of shit that I could just go on Wikipedia or I could watch into the videos. I always want to bring something new. Even the video that I just did about lizard people, like if I can't just talk about lizard people because it would just be telling you what everyone else has said. I want to come at it with new angles and I want to try to add the depth and connect those dots. So when it came to the simulation theory, I really connected the dots about like the Orion. So I don't know if you're asking me in general, like where you would find more information on exactly what I talked about as a whole. But if you just want information on, let's say, them individually, for the pyramids, I would, because the pyramids are just one amazing example of ancient civilizations and these monuments and what they could mean potentially. So I would look into a gentleman named Graham Hancock. Um, he's wrote numerous books, and he has there's like a channel or a station on TV called Gaia or something like that. I think it's GAIA, and he also has a couple shows on there. I always seem to see this dude, and you probably have too, in ads. Before a video, there'll be an ad, and they'll talk about like psychedelics are changing the world, or the pyramids, something, or like ancient Egypt. And Graham Hancock is typically one of the people in those ads. But for the pyramids, I would definitely look into Graham Hancock. I think that's a great start. For Orion, I don't really know like a good place to point you in that direction. You know, as far as looking up Orion, I think a easy Google search would probably get you steered in the right direction. You can go from there. And as far as decoding the simulation, that's just what I would do. Is if it's something that you're really interested in, Ryan, just try to think of your own little dots to connect, and just think about, okay, if this was real, what is the likelihood of like when I was thinking about the simulation, the likelihood of there having to be a creator is a necessity. So who could have been the creator? Like, what are other elements of the simulation that maybe you thought about, and try to think a little bit more about the mechanics of that, and how that could actually exist, and then start googling stuff, and maybe you'll create your own way to decode the simulation. I don't know what I was trying to say, civilization. So okay, Abby, or oh Cabby, Project Bluebeam. You said Bluebeam, but I'm imagining that you mean Project Bluebeam, and that's a very interesting topic. I actually do have a video on this channel. It's maybe like my third or my fourth video that I uploaded on it, and I talk a lot about it. But Project Bluebeam, just to kind of give you a real quick rundown, and maybe even I talked about it a little bit in the simulation video. I don't remember necessarily, but Project Bluebeam was presented in like 1996 by a gentleman. I can't think of his name right now, but the whole idea was the government and the powers that be, all these world leaders, were going to find ways to project holograms into the sky that could look like anything. And the ultimate goal was to like project the end of the world in the sky, and have all the religious icons there, and all this crazy shit. But the interesting part about Project Bluebeam is the way that he said that it was going to be kind of released into society, and how the inner workings of this project operated, and that was infiltrating the media. So he said that the media would start putting out movies that were, I guess you could say, disclosing the truth, but in a way that just made it seem Hollywood. So an interesting thing to note would be that The Matrix came out a few years after he said that the media would start putting the truth out. Independence Day was another movie that came out around that same time. So it kind of leads me to believe that the media definitely is putting out these program predictions or predictive programming and things that are real, but they masqueraded as sci-fi. And Project Bluebeam, if that's something that interests you, I would definitely look a whole lot more into it. As far as what I remember about the conspiracy theory, it also had something to do with, in the beginning, there would be like massive earthquakes, or there would be massive natural disasters. A comet might even hit the Earth, and it's going to unearth ancient discoveries. What's interesting is a lot of ancient uh, like records, you would say. I think there was the Library of Alexander, there was the hall underneath the Sphinx in Egypt. All of these things that were destroyed and burned, these all contain sacred information that was been being passed down. It was almost like a library of our complete history of being human. and how he came to be. So the fact that a lot of this information has been destroyed that we know of, maybe there's other areas where this information could also be stored. So the idea would be that something would happen that would unearth information, kind of like in that way to a degree, and it would just completely shatter our view of reality, and it would open up doors to conspiracies and all this other shit. So in 1999, I believe it was, or maybe it was a couple years before that, was the first year that they recognized there was a universe outside of our solar system that was like ever expanding. And to a lot of people, that was kind of like a mind fuck because to think that we're on a planet that's a part of something that's ever expanding that goes on forever and ever and ever, and there's trillions and billions of stars and planets. It feels a lot different than if there was just 9 planets around us, you know. So that's something that happened around that time that maybe you can say was unearthing of information that kind of changed things. I don't know if that would be like the best thing, but so for Project Bluebeam though, I'm just kind of rambling. I'm also trying to like look at the comments and stuff at this point, but Project Bluebeam is very interesting and really I guess what it boils down to is the media is going to create a scenario and where a lot of people are going to fall for it and it's a trap. So the one that I believe could hold the most weight would be like a fake alien invasion. So Independence Day came out. Now we all know what a spaceship would look like. We all know what aliens look like. We all feel like if they were to come, they might blow us up. So Project Bluebeam to me, the most realistic breakdown of it is it's pretty much the media and the government preparing us for an alien invasion. So we all have to listen to them. We all have to unify. We all have to give up our rights just to be saved and survive. And then it just is ultimate control from that point on. Who knows? I mean, there's been a lot of weird stuff that's gone on in recent history that could be looked at as the government trying to control us and change the norm, but we won't get too crazy into that stuff. So, sounds like early conspiracies you used to hear. Chips in arms. I don't know. Is chips in arms just mean you're eating chips? Sorry about that. I think I pressed a button on my mic. But let me see here. If our goal is to open our consciousness, how can we grow it? In order to grow your consciousness, I mean, meditating is always a really, really good one. Start focusing more on ideas as opposed to people and things. You know, don't worry about people. Don't stuff like gossiping or watching like I mean, hey, I'm a glutton for aimless, stupid TV, but also try to pepper things in that expand your mind and your mind is a muscle, and if you're able to strengthen it and you're able to look outside of the box, that to me is how you grow your consciousness. Now, of course, there's things that you can do that are going to kind of jumpstart that, or they're going to be accelerants like psychedelics. And the reason psychedelics do such a great job of helping you expand your consciousness is because it takes away all the bullshit for you. Like there's no way you can do a certain amount of psychedelics and still live in this la la land full of bullshit propaganda that we're living in. It kind of breaks down that third wall, or however you would say. So I'm not recommending just like right away go for psychedelics, but I think it's a lot to do with the mindset and just thinking about the idea of expanding your consciousness to a degree is kind of expanding your consciousness. Having that thought and having that desire, I think is it probably means that you're doing it. So let's see here. So label it as fiction so that people won't ask questions. Exactly. Exactly. And then, they could say that we told you so. I guess if they really wanted to. So to know there's possible life on other planets and that there are so many other galaxies is so fascinating. It is very fascinating. Let me go through these other comments and I'll kind of tell you about a topic that I've talked about before that I think is extremely interesting. So War of the Worlds. Tara, I have not seen War of the Worlds, so I couldn't tell you if that's what I'm talking about or not. But I mean, it sounds like it. If War of the Worlds is about another intergalactic species trying to destroy the planet, it seems pretty on par with what I'm talking about. You don't know how to describe it. Not that kind of chips. Okay. Okay. Well, if you could figure out how to describe it better, I would love to hear. Weed definitely got me to think the whole opposite direction that is shaping me today and for tomorrow and so on. Weed is definitely a great tool. I think that it can go either way for some people, but I mean, if the intent is there, if you're just trying to smoke weed to relax, enjoy life a little bit more with nothing but positive intention, then it definitely does a great job of kind of putting a fog amidst the bullshit and letting you just get creative, letting you get open minded. I mean, smoking weed and having a conversation could be a lot different, in certain environments, and the vibe is usually pretty cool. So, you know, I can't say that I don't think weed is rad. So, first time watching, excited. Hey, Vivian, what's going on, Vivian, with a question mark? Your first time. I'm excited to have you here. I don't know if this is the first live that you're checking out or the first thing in general, but I do appreciate it. If you have anything that you maybe like to hear me talk about, also, this is open mic night, so anyone that would want to hop on the live, it's real easy. It's not like you got to download anything. You just click a link, boom, you're here. It's really that simple. And not to press anybody. It's all good. We could all do it through text too, or through this comment stuff or the chat. So I do think that someone Elon might just be a nerd who has always wanted to be popular, and his ideas put him in a place of power. To be popular, people will put a lot of money into discrediting him, but maybe it's not that deep. That's an interesting comment, Trags. That's an interesting comment. But I think Elon is way too intelligent, or at least he has very intelligent things to say when he's asked questions, and he has a very sharp mind. I don't think that people that are that intelligent honestly care about being popular. Um, he comes across actually as a pretty normal guy. He's a fucking, obviously the guy's a brainiac, but he really does a lot just to kind of normalize himself. And at the end of the day, he's friends with some pretty cool fucking people at this point. I think if the goal is to be popular, he's already done it. But Trags, I do see your point. I'm not saying that you have anything wrong going on in your statement. I think when it comes to the level of intelligence he possesses, being popular amongst people, I don't think he looks at people caring about him or liking him the same as some people. But I could be very wrong about that. You could be 100% right, Trags. So why do I think conspiracy theories are so prevalent nowadays? Seems like people are becoming more aware of the mysteries of the world. I think because the world is fucking crazy right now. Like there's all these memes that come out, like conspiracy theorists 2 years ago look crazy, and now they look like normal people, and people that don't believe in them look crazy. I think it's just a matter of there's so much craziness going on, that truth is, or what is it, like the truth is stranger than fiction, or it's like people are starting to understand that there's some weird shit going on, and it's really hard for them to justify certain things that they see happening. And I would say that the majority of the population, especially people that are like my age and younger, we've been exposed to a lot of things that were conspiracy theory heavy. A lot of music that I listened to growing up, like we talked about in the last live. um, there's been a lot of crazy shit that's happened even in the last couple of years that was very dividing. I think Donald Trump being the president was something that divided a lot of people and made a lot of people, you know, kind of think crazy shit's going on. And then you had COVID. COVID was very divisive, and I don't know if it still is necessarily, but there's a lot of conspiracies around that. And then the government sometimes will put out information, and then, like, a month later, a week later, however long, it comes out to be inaccurate. And when something like that happens, and especially for people that maybe believed whatever they were hearing and then come to find out it was wrong, it could do one of two things to you. It can make you want to rethink how you've been thinking things, and kind of reanalyze your surroundings per se, or it could just give you cognitive dissonance and make you believe that the other side is lying and this is propaganda. And that's really the dangerous part. And guys, actually, if you could give me, like, I really apologize about this. Oh, right. Okay, so we do have a guest, it appears. However, I need to take about a 1 minute break. If you guys could give me about 1 minute, I will be right back. So give me a second, and then when I come back, we will be joined by Kiara. I hope I'm saying that right. I apologize about that, everybody. It is very hot here in California, and I drink a lot of water when it's really hot. And sometimes nature calls, and I just don't want to leave a message. So, Kiara, I saw that you were in the queue. I was about to bring you on. I just didn't want to do that and then just leave you up here by yourself. I did want to interact with you when you first came on. So I definitely, if you'd like to come back on, I would love to have you. I'm sorry that the timing on that was so fucking horrible. It wasn't intentional by any means, but hopefully you're able to come back. Let's see here. Let's go down the comments a little bit more. Do I think other galaxies could be other simulations? I think that's a weird question, kind of, and it's not like it's weird that you asked that. It's just a weird one to answer because are all the other galaxies that we're seeing just part of our simulation? It could go both ways. It could be that this is just. I can't imagine there's only one simulation necessarily going on at any given time. There could be billions and billions of them, but I don't know. I don't know if when we're looking out there through a telescope and we see, a galaxy, some in far off planets, if they're experiencing a simulation. I guess as a whole, if everybody was just experiencing a collective simulation, then yes. However, in another simulation, instead of galaxies, it could be something completely different that people inhibit. I mean, even life, like we look at life as humans and what humans need in order to survive. And there's so many other forms of life that we probably can't even understand. Like there's some creatures in the deep Mariana Trench that we've never even seen before. So and there's a really cool fish where like you could chop their arms off and they'll grow back. And there's so many forms of life, and even all the life on this planet, typically speaking, is going to have two eyes, a nose, ears. It's going to have all the same characteristics that we have. So when we equate life and the experience, we equate it to our five senses, just like most of the creatures on the planet have. Some of them have better senses than others, but I mean, I don't know if that's the only way that life exists is through these five senses. So there could be another simulation going on within this simulation that we don't know about. I mean, I don't. That's why I say it's kind of a weird question to answer because it can go is really as deep as you want it, I guess. But a simple answer, I would think that all the galaxies that we're able to see or that we're able to, predict are out there are definitely just in this simulation. That's my best guess. Microchips to track people. Hopefully that makes sense. Microchips. Oh, I got you. You're talking about like chips, like microchips, like technological little fucking thumb drive or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Chips. Yeah, that's kind of a creepy thing to me, is the fact that people would actually want a microchip in them. I mean, I kind of sketched out to put one in my dog, so I don't know if I want to put one in me. So you think you remember the microchip thing? Very interesting. It's very interesting, the microchip thing. All right, so it looks like we got Kiara back. So, really quickly, Kiara, again, in case you weren't here in the beginning, all we ask is that we keep it to the guidelines. Nothing too crazy, nothing too explicit. If you're doing drugs, do them now. Once we're on live, no more. But let's have Kiara hop on. Let's see what's going on with Kiara. Hello, can you hear me, Kiara? So Kiara, I don't know if you're here or not actually. So just so you know, on the bottom it's gonna have a microphone, it's gonna have a video thing. I don't know if you have a video. Well, Kiara's gone. All right, guys. So far, the guest, we've had a guest. We have had a guest. However, it didn't seem to pan out. So let's see here. What else we got going on? I will say that somebody earlier talked about how there's like so many planets, and it's crazy to think that there wouldn't be life. And there is something called the Fermi Paradox, and it's one thing that me and my buddy Brian, who I'm actually in the midst of a project with him, where we're documenting him recording an album and all kinds of cool shit. But we had a podcast on this channel for a while, and we talked about it in one video. It was actually a topic that he brought to the table. He's super interesting and knows a lot about a bunch of cool shit. But what the Fermi paradox is the idea that there is like a billion planets. I mean, at the end of the day, a billion planets, like if there was only a million planets, it would still be an insane paradox. But the fact is, there is supposedly tens of billions of planets or billions of planets. So the possibility that out of the billions and billions of planets, that there's only life on one of them is like one in that many billions. And or actually that's not mathematically correct because not all planets have the ability to harbor life. Again, the life the we understand, but there's like if 1% of the planets in the galaxy out of these billions of billions, 1%, it could still be a billion, had the conditions to allow life to exist and thrive. What are the possibilities that it isn't out there? And that's the Fermi Paradox. I highly recommend you look a lot more into that. I wish it was something that I've looked into recently or I remembered more about, but that's pretty much the gist of it. The gist of it is the fact that there's so many planets out there, and the idea that we're the only ones out here is like super rare, and it's because of all these extra variables, you know? So Donald did a great job. The media was the one that made people get this so far divided and turn them against Trump. Everybody loved him before he ran, and the media turned on him. Yeah, JP, I think what happened was obviously I understand why people like Trump. I understand why people don't like Trump, you know, but in his personal life, I think the dude was a little bit, rough, and stuff that the media was able to unearth early on really portrayed him as a certain individual. And that's really politics, like half of politics is playing dirty and trying to make the other person look bad because that's easier than making you look better sometimes without having to use negativity. So I think that really set a tone, and then when he started saying that the news is all fake, but there's recordings of it, that made him look like even more of a liar to the people that now didn't like him. They were really judging him based off what they heard, which is okay. But I mean, it's like the CEO of a company could go out there and do some crazy shit on the weekend, and then you go and you work for him, and all you know is what he's presenting, because as a CEO, you need a certain individual. You don't really care about their personal life necessarily, and I think that was kind of part of it. I think he was a great president. He had the intention to make the country as great as he was able to, I guess. And I wouldn't agree with everything that he did or everything that he said, but I don't think there's any president that anybody could say they agree with everything they did and everything they said. I think it was just Trump is very polarizing. It's very, very easy for someone to say like 5 minutes of fucking, whatever about Donald Trump, and for him to look like either the best dude ever or the worst dude ever, So, but I think if we just look at it through the lens of was the country in a better position, and if we look at statistics and if we look at actual things that have happened that can be proven, I don't know. I guess there would be a different conversation, but I don't know enough to have that conversation, and I don't want to look like an idiot more than I already do. Does anyone know how long open mic nights usually go for? I got to put the baby to sleep, but I don't want to miss this. Lillian, I'm going to probably rock out for another, like, if you're still here, that is, probably another, like, 20 minutes at most. I'm going to try to keep these lives to about an hour. If I get a guest and it's so interesting that it would be crazy to stop, then of course it will run a little bit longer. But if you got a baby to put to bed, this is going to stay on YouTube, so you don't have to worry about missing it. You would just miss it right now, and then you could watch it in an hour if you wanted to. You could just come right back in, hop in on the 43-minute mark. Boom. You'll see the rest of it. No problem. Um, so Taylor, you're just saying because everything the government said wasn't true later came out to be true. There's a lot of stuff. I mean, there's a lot of secrets I feel like the government hides from us. And as those things come out, and it seems like a lot of them have recently, or a lot of them have been open for debate, with pretty strong arguments, then yeah, it definitely has people changing. And I don't know. It's hard because I've only lived in my lifetime, and I don't know enough about other generations. But it seems like we're living in a pretty complex time with technology the way that it is, the way that information gets spread, how quickly it does, with misinformation being so easy to access, just as much as right as, I mean, what really is true information? Like on Instagram the other day, somebody was talking about gas prices, and I'm not gonna like take a stance and say that I know everything about the topic, but my dad is somebody that I talk with about politics probably more than anybody, and whether or not he's right about everything he says, I don't know, but he's the kind of person that does like to have some kind of clarity on what's going on. So I take what he says pretty seriously, and he was talking about how the price of gas being so high because of something within the current administration and something that was passed. I don't know whether or not it was the case, but somebody had made a post on Instagram and said, everybody's doing all they can to get the gas prices lower. And I just said, well, you should Google this, because maybe they are doing everything they can to get the gas prices lower. I don't know, but it's important to be able to look at both sides of the coin before you give all of the details you can on it. If you've only seen one side of the coin and someone says explain that coin to me, you really can't do a thorough job of that. So I just wanted them to research the other side of it, and I'll do some research if they give me what I should Google. And all they said back to me was pretty much negative, like, of course I think like that. I'm an idiot, and I must watch Fox News, and like I must watch all these other fucking programs that are notoriously used as, CNN or whatever the case may be, which I don't watch any of them actually. So I just simply asked back, well, where should I get my news? Because at the end of the day, like, no one's really directing you to a news source and saying this is accurate. It's just everyone sharing whatever they think is interesting enough. And I really never got a solid answer. And I think people are just very frustrated, and it's hard to sometimes have these like civil conversations and try to, have a disagreement, but converse about it in a peaceful way. But it really does raise the point of what's a credible source of information these days? I guess ultimately is what I'm getting at there, because the news is whatever that channel, whatever that network, whoever owns that network, that's the view of what they want to put out. I mean, the word news, and we talked about this last week, the word news doesn't mean factual information. It just means important information that feels like it's needed to be shared by a broadcast. So if the whole broadcast network is owned by Disney, all those channels that are on that network are probably going to be saying the same shit. The broadcast, just like CNN, and you got CNN and Fox News arguing with each other. It's like, if so obviously there's opposing sides of the news, and like both sides can't be true if they're going exactly against each other. It's not like there's this gray area when one side is saying they're guilty and one side is saying they're innocent. There's not really an in between. So I look at that like either someone has to be lying, or I don't know. I just don't see a situation where both of those broadcast networks are putting out information where you can debate it and you can find middle ground. So it's obvious that people are being lied to. The hard part is, where's the truth coming from? Because it seems like everybody is kind of lying to a degree, but I don't know. That was kind of a little bit of a rant. Let's see here. What is a documentary article or something like that which propelled your love, or propelled you toward your awakening? I would say early on, I would say Zeitgeist was something that just like rocked my fucking world, you know? And I look now, I've watched it recently and I've done research, and I found that like some of the information within the documentary, or this whatever you would call it, isn't necessarily accurate. But at the end of the day, Zeitgeist really was something that kind of blew my mind and made me want to think deeper about certain things, and made me want to look into information regarding certain topics. It goes into religion, it goes into currency, it goes into 9/11. So it really hits on everything. If you think about it, what really governs us is the government, religion, and money. And pretty much they all have something to do with each other to a degree. So let's see here. The only gold standard is doing your own in-depth research on subjects. Everyone has their own agenda. When you do your own research, the truth comes. Okay. With that being said, Wolfie Wit, is the way to do it just research every source, or where are you going to do the best research, like, and that's the hard part, because I want to believe that there's people being honest and that aren't fabricating stories for extra clicks, and that are fabricating stories for an agenda necessarily. But it has been said that one of the goals is to destabilize the country. And one of the signs that we are destabilized is when people can be shown facts and not believe them, because the way information is being handled is so manipulative that nobody knows what the truth is. And that would cause a lot of psychological warfare, I guess you would say, on the people. So I guess through my conspiratory lens, I'm looking at it like it's really feeling like that's becoming truth. And I'm not going to play it, but there is I think his name is Yuri something, but it's if you look up KGB defector interview, you will see a man that goes over in depth the way that he talks on how Russia destabilized their country. And then the goal was for the KGB to come over and for Russia to infiltrate the United States and do the same thing to us. But I've showed several people, and I've showed people that I never talked to. Just someone that on Instagram was like, they posted something, and I thought, man, they would probably really enjoy this video, or this video would give them a little bit of insight onto and to open up a new perspective, possibly for whatever reason. I felt their post warranted it, and people that would I've actually messaged before that didn't want anything to do with me or didn't want to respond or whatever the case may be. I'm not taking it personal, but they all responded like, "Wow, like that was an incredible video. I never saw that before." So it's one of those things that it's really hard to watch that video and not look at it like there could be a lot of truth to this. So maybe that's even a good topic for video, because I do like to talk about topics that have like a really hard hitting impact on current times. And that's why I'm always trying to pull whatever conspiracy it is into a current time because the current time is fucking crazy. We should try to make sense of that more than anything. How do you spell that? So, Kiara, it would be here. I could actually put it in here. So let me put it in the chat for you guys. My bad. I'm making all kinds of fucking noise. This would be a good thing to like. What I just posted right now would be a good thing to type into like YouTube. And the guy's name starts with a Y. It's like Yuri or Yuriv or something of that nature. So if you type that into YouTube and then that comes up, you're in good hands. But it's a guy sitting in a chair, older gentleman, 50s or 60s or so, and he just says some incredibly profound shit. And I highly recommend you go watch it. And like I said, maybe I'll even do a full blown video on it because it's really that interesting. Where there could be like 1,000 videos on the same topic, and there's probably not enough videos on that topic. They just need to keep getting made. Just like cat videos, you can't have enough cat videos. For let's see here, for JP3, for me, I was the one that got you woke when you saw the flat earth video. Cool, man. I'm glad that I was able to open up your mind a little bit. By any chance, do you believe the earth is flat? Did you actually like take that notion and run with it, or what did you get from the video, dude? I'm just very curious. And I'm saying, dude, I don't know why I'm feeling like JP3 is dudeish, and maybe that's like not woke of me to say, but if you're not a dude, I apologize. So, what do you think is making the U.S. Earth so negative, such as pushing the agenda of money, self-hatred, abuse, etc.? Why are they not sure if I worded this question right? You worded it great, Kiara. You did a great job on that. Um, so you're saying the Earth is so negative, and the U.S. basically society and as a whole is getting pretty negative as far as what we could tell, and they're pushing the agenda of money, self-hatred, and abuse. I would say because abuse and self-hatred are ways to get you to want to spend more money and make you feel like you have to spend more money because you're unhappy and money might be the only way to get you out of your unhappiness and your depression. The only way to spend more money is to make more money or get extremely in debt or do things that are possibly demoralizing to yourself and go against your your I guess your moral compass. I don't know how else to say it, but it'll put you in a bad predicament, right? I think the goal is to keep people on a lower frequency, to keep people, and that's why to me, even I'll joke about the word woke, and I think it's not like a new term by any means, but I do think that there is a culture out there that doesn't really understand what being woke is, and they're taking woke as what it's being presented to them as. And it's very dangerous, in my opinion, like because we shouldn't identify ourselves with our opinions, and it feels like that's what a lot of the woke culture is, where if you disagree with the opinion of an individual who's claiming to be woke, then you're offending them, and that's never the goal. Our opinions change. My opinions on a lot of things have changed over time, so if I identify with my opinions, I guess I am also changing, but not directly. Like I don't feel like if me and you disagree on something, we shouldn't be friends. That's never the goal. So I do feel like there's a lot of, and even some of the information that comes out that's pushed towards the woke audience, or at least the manufactured woke audience. I don't want to say anyone who claims to be woke is like manufactured woke or whatever the case may be. but it's just really dangerous, and it pushes everybody in a mind state that it seems more divisive, and I wish I had some great examples. However, I don't in the moment. But Kiara, like you said, you don't know if you worded the question right. You did. I don't know if I worded the answer right, but I think that's kind of what it boils down to. I think they want to keep us in a lower frequency, and they want to have this agenda of making people feel smart and important and identify that way, because they know that what's really coming, that's really dangerous, is people are actually getting very smart. People are waking up. People are getting conscious to what's going on in this world, and they are wanting a difference. So if they see that's already happening, if you can't beat them, join them. And I'm not saying that the government's against us, 100%. I don't know, but it doesn't feel like we're all on the same team in this human race here, uh, for the better of all of us. And at the end of the day, if they can't, beat a truly awakened society, they might as well manufacture what they deem to be woke, and they can push that agenda and divide those that are, trying to actually be conscious, and those that are actually, or that are just being like, I read a book and now I'm conscious, like because I know the book by heart type shit. So I don't know. Maybe that was a good answer. Maybe it wasn't. You took a course in college called Power, Persuasion, and Propaganda that talked about how news channels are run by corporations that choose their narratives. Tara, that is, they literally taught us a class on it. It's that's what the media is. The media is all a means to sell you shit. I hate to put it like that, but they would probably, agree with me in a closed room. You will definitely check that out. I think it would be a good topic. Wolfie Wit, what, I don't know exactly the topic you're talking about, but definitely do. Definitely. Smith Munda Act was repealed, allows news to lie to the public legally. They did it for NatSec. L Boogie, shout out to you for the info. Not NatSec. I'll have to look into that. Wait, Kiara, wait. Actually, I was asking about how you spell the documentary you mentioned. I think you asked a few things. There wasn't anything about a spelling in there, but you did ask it before, I believe. And it's Zeitgeist. It's Zeitgeist, something like that. If you type in Zeigest, even if that's wrong, it'll still pop up. Are there any theories about literally anything that you have been hesitant or even afraid to speak about publicly? And do you think you will talk about those theories or theory? Thank you. Vivian, to be honest with you, the only topic that I really didn't touch, that I really didn't go into, I probably wouldn't go deep into things that include like child abuse in any way, just because it's actually just hard to talk about, like I don't want to talk about horrendous things like that. And I guess it's a shame, maybe I'm spreading awareness on certain things, but it's just a really hard topic, and I don't want to, like, I don't know. That I would say those conspiracies revolving around those things I'm very interested in, and I think it's important that we research. However, I haven't found it in me yet to put out a video that goes into any kind of depth on those conspiracy theories. And like I said, maybe I should. Maybe I'm cowarding out of trying to spread the truth. Another thing that I really didn't talk about a whole lot was COVID. And actually, ironically, about maybe this was like March 13th or something like that. I want to say I deleted the file at this point, because in order to make the last video, I had to like delete fucking everything on my computer. But and I don't even know why. So if any of you guys know why I had to do that, because of my scratch disk and all this stuff, I don't know. But we filmed the video, and this was at the point when there was maybe like 1,200 total deaths from COVID, and the whole premise of the video was, is this all manufactured? And I went into a lot of detail on, if it is manufactured, this is what I think is going to eventually happen. I'm not going to say whether I was right or wrong about any of it necessarily, but I ended up not putting that out because, like, within a few days it had gone fucking crazy, and everybody was losing their job, or not losing their jobs, but everybody was like not working anymore, and everyone was on quarantine, and people that were talking against it were looked at a certain way. And I thought, as much as, like, I'm sure the majority of people would watch this and they know I'm the one saying it, so they understand why I have my viewpoints. I also didn't I just didn't feel like it was something that I wanted to talk about and put out there. And it felt like a lot of people were getting fucking shut down for talking about it. And unfortunately, YouTube is a platform where I don't think you could talk about those things. You know, and but I digress. So you're a flat earther. It took me a while, but just kept hammering it in, trying to debunk it because I thought it was stupid, but was interested in seeing why it was and things sucked you in. So yeah, dude, cool, man. JP, believe on, bro. Whatever makes you feel that sense of happiness and joy, and you believe it, and you can't seem to shake it. Rock with it, dude. If the people at the top know the way the world could be and how at peace things could be, why wouldn't they want a high frequency world for themselves as well? Because they're not driven by it, by seeing everyone operate on a high frequency, because you can't, it's all about control, and it's about that element. It's about running populations. It's about these agendas, and I don't know exactly what drives it. I think that's why so many people. And I'm sorry, there's like I almost don't know if the plane is like overwhelmingly annoying in the background, but that's why ideas of secret societies ruling the planet, of aliens coming, because it really doesn't make sense, Kiara. It doesn't make sense why any human on the planet wouldn't want everybody to be happier. It makes no fucking sense. And that's why I believe there's so many conspiracy theories about secret government agencies and about the Illuminati, the Freemasons, the Bilderberg Project, and all these things, because it doesn't seem humanly to even want to do what these people do, or want to do what it appears as though they want to do to us. And it's hard. It's almost, and I think it all just boils down to ego, control, and it's just the way that things have been done, and just like, I mean, we see it right now, let's say in North Korea with Kim Jong Un. I mean, his dad was the emperor, whatever they were before him, then his dad before him, and that's the only way that that country even knows. I mean, and that's like a crazy fucking example of how bad the world is. And it's like, why is he doing it that way? I mean, he's trying to one up the one before him. That's why I say it's a lot to do with ego. It's who could control people better. It's a challenge. Just like some of you go into work and you want to outsell the person next to, or you want to bag it faster, or you want to get, the most points on the wall, whatever the case may be. They're competing with evil, so of course they're going to exhibit a lot of evilness. For everyone, you guys should read The Power of Now. Shout out to you, Kiara. That's a dope recommendation. The Power of Now. I'm kind of cutting in and out. Am I still kind of cutting in and out right now? If it's too low or if it's too high or anything, just let me know. But I appreciate you letting me know that there was some technical issue. Zeitgeist. Yeah, Vivian, whatever you got right there, put that shit into YouTube. You're on like Donkey Kong. And I believe there's 3 of them. So maybe look up something that's the oldest or that looks the oldest, or just watch fucking all 3 of them and don't worry about the order, because it doesn't, it's like a Family Guy episode. It doesn't matter what order you watch them in, or any of those goofy shows. Do you believe that the people at the top have a negative connection with something, or like are disconnected from us? That, I guess, what I just was saying really highlights how I feel about that. It's hard to believe that there's not something more powerful, and that's, in the Bible, for instance, there's talk of more evil than good in the world, and the powers of good and evil are at war with each other, and there's constantly a force. That's why people are, the whole "not today, Satan," and however we want to put it, because they're always trying to drag you down. So in regards to, do they have a negative connection with anything? I think it's just it's deep within our human nature to be that way. I couldn't say for sure if an exterior, force that has anything to do with it. I think the scariest idea is that humans in general could be that evil. But also with billions and trillions of planets out there, who knows that something isn't controlling us, right? Let's see here. You've connected the dots. I don't understand how humans would be able to choose evil over peace. Kiara, I think the question is almost the same as the question of if God exists, why do bad things happen to people? Why do kids die? Why do people get diseases? All those things. There are these paradox questions, or however you would say that. It's very hard, and I mean, you have philosophers that are debating these types of topics. But let's see. Let's keep going on. You know anything about the third eye? Yeah, I know anything. I know a little bit about the third eye. It's your pineal gland, and in ancient civilizations, the Sumerians are very well known for depicting the pineal gland represented within its art. It's believed that the pineal gland is our way to kind of connect into the collective consciousness of the universe. It is our third eye, as you said, and as I said, it secretes dimethyltryptamine or DMT. I don't know if I said that right necessarily, but the reason why it's believed that on DMT you have almost like a near death experience, or what people would believe it to be like, is because when you die, in order to transition you beyond this existence and into the next experience, your pineal gland will let go of some DMT and flood you with it, and that way you're able to go on to the next, right? And also maybe it has something to do with your dreams, how you experience dreams. Some people have theorized that your pineal gland actually is supposed to always be inducing some sort of like a reality for you, almost like it's supposed to give you the baseline for who you are, how you are. I guess when we talk about enlightenment, maybe true enlightenment is when your pineal gland is totally clean and it's doing its job 100%. And that's why there's a lot of people against fluoride. There's other kinds of chemicals that can calcify your pineal gland and not allow you to experience the third eye action as much. Just a second here. But I think the third eye is almost the key to the universe for human beings. I think there's and I guess going back to what we talked about good and evil, I think there's a highly spiritual aspect of our existence, and whatever the opposite of that is, I think that's the ultimate driving force for people being negative and all that stuff. Are you going to be in Shane's first podcast episode? Do you guys talk about conspiracies in the episode? Sarah, I am in the first podcast episode. I believe that I think we might be in all of them together. I don't know if it was a one and done just for fun. It might be, maybe two or three or four. I'm not sure yet, but we do touch a little bit on conspiracies. It's to me the funnest podcasts are topical, but it's also about the people and just knowing that you're going to get an hour or two of just fun, and it's going to be interesting, it's going to be stimulating, it's going to be humorous, it's going to make you laugh, going to make you think, all those good things. So we do talk about conspiracies a little bit because it fits into what I just said. It is part of that experience. However, we talk about a lot of cool shit, a lot of fun stuff, a lot of like controversial topics, I guess you could say. So so you guys, it sounds like someone's talking about the audio, but hopefully it sounds better now. And then I probably am gonna hop off here in just a couple of minutes, but let's see here. Planets are a conspiracy. Okay, I mean, RH, if you could elaborate a little bit, what is a conspiracy necessarily? Planets are a conspiracy. um Elaborate. That sounds interesting enough. Like ego death, JP3. Yes. Ego death would be when you disassociate with time and space in general, and you exist merely as a point within the universe, and you let go of all of your humanistic attributes, I guess you would say, and you just become strictly in the spiritual realm. That's how I would explain it. When I've experienced it a few times, and that's kind of what it what it felt like to me. Um, but yeah, like ego death, I think is what we were talking about earlier. I was seeing, I was kind of, let's see here. Just got here and hearing some DMT trip reports. Loving it. Stay on for at least another hour, please. Rock on, man. Megan, I don't know if I could do another hour, to be honest with you, but I mean, I'm down to stay on for a few more minutes. DMT trip reports are always fun. I only really have really only have the one. I tried it just a little bit of it one time to make sure that it was actually good enough to fucking keep. and I did it another time in a massive dose. And I actually did a whole live where I talked about DMT, I talked about mushrooms, I talked about different ways in which I prefer to consume mushrooms, which is kind of interesting if you're into mushrooms at all. But I would definitely recommend checking that video out. I think you'd be into it for sure. If you hear DMT and it piques your interest, I think that'll be like an hour or so of your interest being piqued completely. Have I seen the Illuminati card game? Man, I was right. My science is getting killer up in here. Have I seen the Illuminati card game and how many? Damn it, it went past. How many things have happened? I have not, Joe FF, but I would definitely look into that. That sounds cool. It's so interesting by DMT. It's interesting that if it is illegal, even though it is in your body during death and dreaming. I'm pretty sure it's during death, dreaming, and birth, right? Yeah, I mean that sounds right. I guess we're all speculating at this point, Kiara, but it would make sense. Yeah, maybe when you're born, you also experience a rush of some DMT. That would be cool. OMG, I would love for you to be Shane's co-host for multiple podcasts. That would be cool. Like I said, I always enjoy talking with Shane. We always have a good time, and I actually really enjoy the dynamic of all of us. We had four people total. I've never really been a part of something long format with four people. It's only been me or one other person with me. So it was cool to have different personalities. And I really enjoy talking shit. And I don't really do it on on these lives or in these videos. And when I say talking shit, what I mean is just having fun in conversation and having little moments of like just quick wits. I like people making quick wits on me. I like doing it back. I'm not a physical, I've never been in a fight my whole life, but I've definitely had really funny conversations with people that resulted in a handshake and there was no violence, nothing, or anything or activity. But on top of just talking about really interesting stuff, I just like to have fun. And I think with the people that were involved yesterday, hopefully it's the same all the time. I think that you guys will really enjoy that chemistry between all of us and all that cool stuff. Yeah, I love mushrooms, and I watched your last episode where you talked about your lemon tech. Right on, right on. I'm glad that you heard that. Have you heard of lemon tech before that, Megan, or was it a new? It's pretty widely known. I don't want to act as if I'm fucking exposing people to something for the first time all the time. But was lemon tech something that you already knew about? Have you tried it? Is it something that you're into? Love to see y'all and family together. Makes my heart. It always, seeing people together just makes my heart warm. Winter, spring, fall. I'm glad that we were able to do that for you. Illuminati is a card game made by Steve Jackson Games in 1994. A lot of events have happened. It sounds familiar enough, not like something that I could have a conversation with you about right now, unless you supplied all the information and I was just reacting to what you were saying. But I have seen images, and it's hard to pinpoint if I'm thinking of exactly what you're talking about necessarily, but why not, you know? So maybe I have, maybe I haven't. Either way, sounds cool. Appreciate it. Mushroom season now. Yeah, it's definitely mushroom season now. If you want to go out and you want to forage, it's always mushroom season though if you just want to grow them yourself. You seem like a teddy bear. LOL. Thank you. I appreciate it. That's cool. I'd rather, you look like a teddy bear than a fucking serial killer. I think it's good to allow your audience to be themselves and allow yourself to freely talk about what you want. Thank you for getting people through the matrix. I appreciate that. That's a dope comment. They're all comments and whatnot, but that was a cool comment. Thank you so much through the matrix. You haven't tried lemon tech, but you just picked up some of my PE, which would be penis envy. That is the strain, and I'm going to try it. Thanks for that. I would recommend, Megan, from what I've heard. I don't know how me saying things could come off, but I would start off with like a gram, because it's going to be really quick induced. It's going to be like 15-30 minutes, and then just more if needed. It's always more. I don't think I've ever done mushrooms and not wanted to do more unless I did a crazy amount. So but yeah, that would just be a little bit of advice, or a little bit. And I don't know your personal style, so maybe you're taking heroic doses every time. Then you could teach me a thing or two. But that's what I would recommend. What is my most mind blowing realization you've had? That I'm gonna die. I think that's the most mind blowing revelation we could all have. But really, really think about it and accept it. On top of that, though, I think that the God exists. the fact that God exists and the fact that we die. And they go hand in hand beautifully. Um, let's see here. Small dose, LOL. Yeah, I mean, the thing about mushrooms is, a small dose is rad. If you just take point 0.1 even or up to 0.25, I would say if you've never taken them, or even if you take them sometimes, because you will build up a tolerance relatively quickly for them. But anything up to a gram, I guess you could say, is just going to be like mood enhancing. It's going to be like smoking weed or drinking, and not the same effects necessarily, but the fact that people go to bars and hang out together and talk and like not beat each other up every 5 minutes at a bar, and they're drinking and having a good time. People smoke weed together and like communicate. They're not all goofed up and tripped out. So I'm just saying, if you take under a certain amount of mushrooms, it could be the same kind of social experience that you're going to get as far as being able to comprehend shit, being able to fucking, fit in with a crowd, not look all weird and not feel all weird. But once you get up in like the 1.5 gram, 2.5 grams, it's going to start to feel different than the reality that you're used to. Once you get to 3.5 grams, it's almost like up until that point, maybe you could see the house, maybe you could even get onto the porch of the house. Maybe you could knock the front door, but you're not getting into the house until you take about 3.5 grams. At that point, you're in the house, and depending on where you want to explore, you can explore. If you want full visuals, RH, so I'm gonna tell one quick story. Because I'm getting a little bit tired and I gotta wake up kind of early. But PE, so actually the story I'm about to talk about, Trags, my dude, is about PE. It's about penis envy. Um, because that might be the last time, because I've had apes recently, which is albino penis envies, and golden teachers, which are always great. But the last penis envy experience I had would be the one I'm about to share with you. So me and my brother Jacob, who I don't know how many of you, I think I had him on a live like one time a long time ago. If you were there and you're here, fucking cool. If not, I do have an older brother named Jacob. And at one point, it was about 2 years ago or so. And me and him went out to Texas, and the whole goal was for business. We had a company together that I owned, and he did all the sales and stuff for, and he was going with me so we can sell those products. But I was also starting a new company, a CBD company. So while he was really manning the force on this other like smoke shop company that I had, I was going to be focusing on the CBD, and then he would also help me with that. So in Texas, I did not know this, but people in Texas get fucking down with some mushrooms, and it's very serious there. And so the first day I'm there, when we get to the guy that has the lab that I'm working with on my CBD brand, he's also a good friend of mine. So we go to his house, go to his office, hang out, and all this stuff. And he starts talking about mushrooms. So I tell him, dude, if you can get me like a lot of mushrooms, I would love that. That would be very cool. So he did that for me, and he got them to me. And the first night that we're there, actually the second night that we're there, we're in San Antonio, and I was going to eat like 5 grams of mushrooms. I thought, 5 grams seems like a good amount, and I'll just bring a lot more with me, because that's always that's always a must. You always got to bring more with you. And my brother, Jake, he didn't want to do it at first, but he said, hey, fuck it, give me 1 gram. Let me just see how it makes me feel. So we end up getting picked up by my buddy that lived in San Antonio. He's taking us to a restaurant, and I'm already like tripping, like I can't even listen to people talk, like, because when you're really, really heavy on it, it's hard to be around people that ain't heavy on it. It's like they don't get it, and they just keep talking and talking and talking and trying to talk to you, and you don't want to talk back, and it gets awkward. But we get to the restaurant. I'm not hungry at all. I don't want to fucking eat. You generally speaking don't want to eat a lot of food when you're on mushrooms, and beyond that, your senses are so heightened that certain smells might make you feel sick even. So we're at this restaurant, and they keep trying to tell me I should eat this buttered, cheesy, shrimp fucking bread or something that just sounds so disgusting. Like even when I'm saying it right now, it don't really sound good. But they kept trying to push that on me, so I actually had to leave the table at one point, because not only that, when I was looking at my menu, the words were jumping off the page. So On top of me not being there was a fish tank in there. I couldn't take my eyes off the fish tank because the fish were fucking jumping out of the water and onto, out of the fucking tank and all this other crazy shit. And I hadn't had visuals like that in quite a while. These were very powerful penis envy, some serious mycology going on behind these things. And so at that point, my brother started feeling it and he ended up wanting more. So he's like, dude, I'm starting to feel it, like, and I had taken mushrooms with him years and years before. A matter of fact, that we, uh, in that last live that we did, I don't know why. Maybe is there a glitch or anything happening right now? Not sure. But in the last live that I did where I talked about mushrooms and whatnot, I talk about doing a lot of shit with my brother back in the day. Guys, I apologize if it's kind of weird there for a second. It's just my shit was glitching over here. So I didn't know if you guys could even see me. Regardless. So back to the story real quick because I do want to wrap it up very soon here. Is so me and my brother are out. My brother wants more. I only have enough for myself because I didn't think my brother was gonna want more. My buddy brought a bunch of like pills, filled with mushrooms. He takes the pills. That's how he likes to do it. So my buddy gives my brother like 3 grams worth of pills. He takes those and we're in the truck. And I was like, dude, I'm gonna eat the rest of what I have now. And I feel like it's not going to be enough because you're probably going to want more. So we end up going back to the hotel, get a bunch, like a ridiculous amount. And my brother tells me that he wants to have visuals. So that's kind of why, but when you said that you want full visuals, RH, this story popped into my head. So when he asked me how much he should take, I told him he should take about 10 grams because there's no way you're not going to have some kind of visuals at 10 grams, but I couldn't promise you actual visuals, under 5 grams. But some people are different. Some people don't have crazy visuals unless they take massive amounts. But I will tell you, the 10 grams go into it was, I never go to clubs, but it was like some club in San Antonio. It was like an 80s night thing. They had laser lights everywhere, TVs fucking everywhere, backyards with bars. That was probably the most intense visuals I've ever had in my whole life with my eyes open. Eyes closed is a whole different story. I mean, if you eat enough mushrooms and close your eyes, you're gonna fucking trip out. But to have your eyes open and experience that much visual distortion and just hallucinations and things that aren't there, like and it wasn't even about things that aren't there, it's just the vibrancy of things and things popping out and things almost like moving, and like vibrating. Like I had never seen it. So if you want full visuals, RH, what I'm getting at is definitely penis envy is a good way to go. And at least I would say, fuck man, if you can handle 7 grams, do it. But let's see here. But guys, on that note, my sinuses, I have the air off in here because it's all loud and I'm very stuffy. So I'm gonna go ahead and probably call it a day. As much fun as I'm having. Um, what is it like taking shrooms with Shane? Shane has never taken shrooms with me, so I wouldn't even know how to answer that question. I only know gold tops. They are the only ones I can identify. Those are probably going to be golden teachers then, if those are the golden tops. But I mean, penis envy does have a golden-ish top. I mean, it's not like you're looking at pure gold color. Gold is just the closest distinction you can make to the color of the mushroom. So I'm guessing it's golden teacher. But penis envy, to the untrained eye, they could almost be passed off as the same thing if you don't know the attributes you're looking for. It's kind of obvious, but not really. But all right, everyone, on that note, I do feel like we had a fun time. Hopefully, I was able to dig into a lot of the topics that you had. We didn't have any guests, but it's all right because we had a bunch of awesome people in the chat. Right, there's 45 of you right now. I feel fortunate that all of you are deciding to spend this time hanging out with me. The people that were on throughout the live, thank you so much for joining. People that are watching this after it's live, it's posted on YouTube. I appreciate you as well. And on that note, like I was saying earlier, I might do another live sometime later in this week where I'll have a definitive guest because I really enjoy doing the guest driven lives. And by this weekend, I'm also going to be putting out another video that's more along the lines of the lizard people video where it's edited, have some imagery, not just this long format conversational type shit. But on that note, yeah, that's pretty much the best kind of update I can give. I was stoked to hang out with all you guys. I'm going to go ahead and exit the stream at this point. But have a great night as well, Kiara. Have a great night, Fat Boy Pedro. You got Eric, Winter Spring Fail. All of you. Wish I could say goodbye to everyone individually. However, I'm gonna just say goodbye to everybody at once. And again, if you're just watching this on the stream after it's live, shout out to you. But love, peace, chicken grease. Enjoy the rest of your night.